All right, moving on. We're going to go ahead and take our design or our user interface that we've created and add the code behind it here in this part. But before we do, I do need to modify one thing, otherwise it's going to cause us problems. And that is I need to get the angle brackets, greater than, less than sign, out of that text, because otherwise it's going to give us an error later on. All right, so we need to write the code for the controller, the model, and the kickstart part of the application. Let's do the controller first. We said that temp controller was the controller associated with this user interface, and then it was going to have a click method. So I need to, in this, I'm going to follow the code that is on page 798 is where this starts. I'm going to make this an fxml tag and a protected, oops, don't need the cap lock, protected void click was the name of my method. And now I want action event, and now I have to be really careful. Don't choose the top one because that's the old style AWT event. We want the action event that's JavaFX. And for right now, I'm just going to leave that blank. Okay, so it doesn't do anything yet, but it should have made that no longer red. Okay, so it's not an error anymore. Now in my temp convert program, this is the kickstarty piece of this. This is the one that extends the JavaFX application. So I'll do that. I have a red light bulb. So if I hit Alt-Enter, it gives me some suggestions. I'm going to have it implement the methods. So it'll write my start for me. Okay, and now I'll follow the code that is shown on page 799 into 800. I'm going to start with a try-catch block. And in this try-catch block, I'm going to create a URL that points to my view. So this would be temp view.fxml. Got that. And down here, I'm just going to put in catch or an exception. And then using the suggestion on page 800, I'm just going to have that print out its stack trace. So I won't do anything fancy with the exception handling. All right, so I've got my URL. Now I need to get the VBox that's associated with my view. So that's going to be, I'll call it root, and that's going to be achieved by doing this fxml loader load method on my URL. Now I can go ahead and create my scene, which represents really the whole visual part of the window that we're going to be creating. So it's a new scene, and I have to set what's going to appear on it. That's my VBox. And then its width and its height. Then I'm going to take my stage, which is primary stage in this situation, set its title. So I'll call it temp convert. So that's the title that'll go on the window bar of my window that's being created. On my primary scene, I'm going to set its scene to be that VBox scene that we've created. And finally, on my primary stage, have it show itself. Okay? That's almost all we have to do. The last bit we have to do is we have to put in the main program, the main method. So check this out. If I start typing main, IntelliJ has a suggestion for the main method declaration. Boom, it writes all of that. All I have to do in here is launch the application with those arguments. So let's go ahead and run this, see what happens. All right, so there is my piece right now. Looks like we might narrow it down a little bit and make it a little taller. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to make it only 200 pixels wide, but maybe 250 pixels tall. There we go. So now, obviously, it doesn't do anything yet, That's what we'll do next here, and this will be fairly easy, but we'll pick that up in the next video just so that these are all not too long, okay? So in just a minute, in the next video, we'll go ahead and do our fill in the guts for the model and for the controller.